Welcome to Networking, Working the Room. I'm Jen Davies, Manager, Career Development at UTSC's Academic Advising and Career Center, and networking is something I didn't understand until I entered jobs where I hired people, like I do now as a manager. I've realized that knowing people is useful for getting trustworthy information and for finding jobs, especially jobs that aren't advertised. If you have watched our videos or used our website, you may remember this map, a directional map for job search strategies. Like all maps, it tells you where you are, where you've been, and what's ahead of you. This map in particular helps you to know where you are in the job search process. Although the map would suggest that the process is linear, it is not. Job search from beginning to end is recursive and iterative. So what does that really mean? During your job search, you may acquire information through your research that requires you to take a step or two back to then go forward, responding to what you're learning by revising your materials, direction, or approach. This process is a dynamic one, not static. That means as you embark on your job search, you may encounter a number of things that will give pause to consider how to incorporate what you're discovering. Any discovery may require you to revisit earlier work on your resume, job target, or strategies for breaking into the job market. For example, a person who provides you with a suggestion that calls for a revision of your resume. Or, in your research, you uncover information that helps you to crystallize your job goals. Or, while networking, you learn of an opportunity which requires a customized resume and cover letter. You research the company on LinkedIn and reach out to a person in the company. Or, your research helps you recognize certain terminology used in a field that you now want to incorporate in your resume and cover letter or use in your interviews. Consider your material as living documents that will be changing as you navigate this process and the world of work. The map is laid out in steps that are all necessary to do and follow in some natural order. Each step and activity are related. They're building blocks, each informing the other, that need to be integrated into your own personal job search. So what's important is that you consider along the way whether you go forward or back to revise, improve, customize your material, and then go forward. The guide will provide you with some questions to prompt your thinking and guide your direction and decisions. For now, you're here, learning about networking. The resource links are provided for you in the guide. For many people, networking may feel unnatural, forced, contrived, manipulative, phony, hard, or exhausting, and yet it is a key component of job searching, long-term career management, and it is an essential skill to learn. We place so much emphasis on the act of networking, or talking to strangers, and the outcome, I must make a connection and get a job lead, that we tend to overlook or miss the opportunities networking can offer, which is to build new and mutually beneficial relationships, not to mention the pure enjoyment of meeting someone new. This video will explore networking, what it is, why you need to build a network, how to start, where to network, and what to say and do when you're networking. The guide will provide you with some material to work with to get you started. When you're done, you will not only survive your next networking event, you will thrive. So much so that you'll want to do it again. Let's get started. Networking is the process of building relationships for mutual support. This means first and foremost that networking is about building relationships. This happens with time and with effort to find common ground, mutual interest, mutual benefit, and enjoyment. Support can be expressed in many ways. At this point in your career, you may feel that you may not have as much to give versus what you can get. Hold that thought. Often support includes being a listener, offering feedback or perspective. You may meet a professional with years of experience who's willing to mentor you, open doors, and make introductions. What a benefit to you! And for them, your energy, eagerness, willingness to learn and apply what you're learning in school may give them enormous satisfaction, balancing the equation. The world is small. These people will be your future co-workers. Your conduct and professionalism matters. This is important. These interactions and engagements have the potential to become more permanent. Unlike other interactions, for example, buying a coffee, your conversation with that salesperson has a temporary purchase. Once that transaction is over, the relationship is complete. Whereas with networking, you may encounter the same people more than once, and those people may become your peers or boss. How you behave matters all the time. It's important to keep the big picture and the long game in mind. You'll meet more people than you'll develop relationships with, so go lightly. Know that many of the people you meet will pass by. Only some meetings will develop into important relationships, and that's okay. You want to build quality relationships that you can count on, that you're prepared to invest in, and that matter to both of you. You don't need to know everyone in your field, but you should know some people. Being part of organizations or associations gives you immediate access to people in your field. There are resources as well, like LinkedIn and 10,000 Coffees, that will help you to develop these connections too. More about that later. Remember, it's about who you know, but also about who knows you. You might be asking yourself, do I really need to build a network? Simply put, yes. An estimated 40 to 80% of available work is not broadly advertised. Why? Because managers prefer to hire people they know, or people who are trusted by people they know. The referral from someone they respect and whose opinion they value holds more weight than a job application from a stranger. So many roles are filled by word of mouth and referral. The only way to hear about them then is to meet people who can tell you about those unadvertised roles. The more people you know who know what you have to offer, the more chance you will have to be referred. So how does that happen? Networking. Networking increases your chances of being considered for those 40 to 80% of poorly advertised roles. It's simple math. So, where do you start to build your network? You start closer than you might think. Start with the people you know, because they know people who know people. You have friends and family. Your friends have family, and they have friends. Your family have friends, and they have friends and family, and so it goes. So here's the good news. You already have a network. Let's stop and take the time to map out your current network. In the guide, you'll find a chart that will help you think through, identify, and list who all those people are. You'll be surprised how big your network actually is. Hit pause on the video now and start listing your network. Volunteering and internships in your field is another way to build and grow your network. Be strategic. Volunteering is great no matter what. However, if aligned with your chosen field, it can have more value. You'll build skills, gain experience, connections, and references that will go a long way to supporting you in securing opportunities and referrals. Choose wisely. Seek out internships and training programs in your field as well. Internship is a learning opportunity. Again, building your experience and your network. To learn more about internships, go to the tip sheet on internships on our website. Information interviewing is an opportunity that you create to pick the brain of someone who does the work that interests you. It's a form of research with a live person instead of the usual go-to resources like the internet. You get valuable information about the job, the profession, how to position yourself to enter the field, a better understanding of the jargon or terminology in the field, culture in the field, and much, much more. You may also learn of open opportunities, and they may now consider you for those opportunities, having had a chance to speak with you. No matter what, you'll walk away having a better understanding of what it might be like to work in that field and whether that's still what you want. Information interview bonuses include the possibility of a referral and, as mentioned before, consideration for future job openings. It's one of the most powerful and effective ways to learn about your field and to build your network. You just never know what can happen until you try it. See the guide for the link to our website for our information interviews tip sheet. If you're shy or unsure of how to begin asking someone to talk with you, we suggest you use tools like 10,000 Coffees. It's a social media platform full of profiles of professionals who are offering to do information interviews. It's a great way to build your networking skills and information interview skills. It eliminates searching and reaching out cold to someone who may not have the interest or time to speak with you. Instead, professionals on 10,000 Coffees are willing to give you their time, and more important, want to give you their time. Go to the guide and find the link. Use your U of T email and your registration should only take a minute or two. There is a profile to create. It's very brief. In 10,000 Coffees, people are organized in hubs. Search for 3 people in the U of T hub or industry-related hubs who you want to invite for a coffee chat. We'll talk about what to say when you contact someone next. Watch our LinkedIn video to learn how to use this social media tool to find U of T and UTSC alumni who you might invite to do an information interview with you. The link is in the guide. When contacting people, remember to be polite, professional, and gracious. Be concise when you ask someone about volunteering or doing an information interview with you. They're busy. You want to get their attention, make your request, but not waste their time. Let them know who you are, how you got their contact info, and your goal. In other words, what you want to do or know. Go to the guide. There you're going to find 2 sample letters initiating contact with someone. Let us know which letter you would respond to and why. In this activity, most people would respond to number 2 over number 1 because it was customized, it's more specific about what the student is looking for, and it is action-oriented. Another way to start networking and growing your network is to get to know the professional associations in your field of study or field of work. This is where professionals in your field go to be in community with their colleagues to learn, keep up to date with what's emerging in the field, and talk to like-minded professionals. You'll be surrounded by them with the chance to learn and develop and build your network. They organize events and conferences that students and grads can go to. As a helper or volunteer at a professional development event or a conference, you have 3 advantages. You have every reason to talk to people, to help them. You automatically know someone who will introduce you around a little bit, that's the volunteer coordinator, and you usually get into the event or conference for cheap or for free. It's a great way to become part of a community. You can find people you might want to develop a relationship with using any of your favorite social media, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. A really useful way to use those forms of social media is to keep track of your connections and maintain the relationships like you do with your friends and family. Remember though, they aren't your friends. They're business professionals. Keep your interactions professional. Networking, especially in-person networking, is about doing what your mother told you not to do. Talking to strangers. There are some simple and basic practices that create great beginnings and good impressions. Let's break it down. Shaking hands and saying hello. Shake hands with as many people in the room as you can. Say hello, start up a conversation, or join in on a conversation. If appropriate, if they ask or show interest in following up, give them your business card or take theirs. If giving a handshake is not your custom or goes against your customs, then make your customary greeting gesture first to avoid the other person offering you their hand. That could get awkward. Speak with a career advisor or someone you trust about alternatives that you might be able to use. The key is, if you gesture first and confidently role model it for them, then they can follow your lead. Introduce yourself. This is where your elevator pitch comes in. Give them your name, what your background is, highlight some key skills, what you bring to the table, and what you're interested in. This is not a resume recital. Just the facts. Say enough so that makes them interested to learn more. Practice makes perfect, so do it over and over again. Smile with both your eyes and your mouth. When you do both, it comes from the inside, not just the outside. People will feel that energy and be interested and respond in kind. Look the other person in the eye. Eye contact is very important, signaling to the other person that you're paying attention. If you don't look them in the eye, maybe out of shyness or awkwardness, you run the risk of being misunderstood, or worse, thought of as rude. If you need to look away, for example, you're waiting for someone and trying to catch them as they arrive, just explain that to the other person. Place your name tag on the right side, not the wrong side, which is the left side. Wait, what? There's a right side to put on a name tag? Yes, there is. You see, when you shake hands with someone, your eyes move from your left to their right. If the name tag is there, you're able to read their name while hearing them tell you their name. It helps you in remembering it. It helps them remember yours, and that's what you want to make sure happens. Dress appropriately. When networking, it's a little more complicated than figuring out what you'd wear for a job interview. Both have a context that informs what is appropriate to wear. Depending on the situation or event, it may be appropriate to wear full business attire, maybe business casual, maybe even resort casual. Whether attending a structured networking event or meeting someone for coffee, consider who you'll be meeting, where you're meeting, the time of day, and even the culture of the group or association. For instance, you wouldn't wear a business suit to a community picnic, even if you expected to meet lots of business owners there. You also wouldn't show up in ripped shorts and a stained t-shirt. The idea is to make a good impression and demonstrate good judgment. When in doubt, go up one level. It's better to be the best dressed than the worst dressed in almost any situation. Arrive on time. If it's a one-on-one meeting, be there early, waiting for the other party. Showing up later than them, even if it's not late based on the time you agreed to meet, means you're making them wait for you. Make the effort to be there to greet them. If you're attending an event that has a speaker, arriving on time means being there before the speaker starts. If there's no formal structure in the event, then you can arrive anytime. Remember, though, that this is your opportunity to meet people, maybe the right people. You may not want to be the first one to arrive, but you certainly don't want to be the last. Both of those may leave you feeling awkward, so be on time. Posture. Your posture says volumes, whether you're interested, engaged, or alert. It can also convey confidence, readiness, eagerness. It can also convey boredom, disinterest, or lack of interest. So stand tall, confident, and ready for what lies ahead. Tone. The phrase, "It's not what you say, but how you say it," matters here. Tone conveys meaning, so consider what you mean and say it. The basics of networking lay the groundwork for finding commonalities. Networking involves finding those links that you have with other people and building on them. This happens when you spend enough time in conversation, being interested and curious about the other person, and they with you. It may not be apparent the first time you meet. It may only happen in time. Be patient. Networking is a long-term investment. Remember, people always love to be remembered. It's flattering, and it shows you were listening with the intention to get to know them. If there's something you can recall that stands out and you can introduce them, then do so. For example, "I remember you were interested in so-and-so. I read an article in the Star today that dealt with whatever it was, and you said you were interested last time, no?" Relationships are reciprocal. Share your knowledge and expertise in your field of study, hobbies, extracurricular activities, and passions. Share your worlds, things you read, watched, attended, followed that may be of interest to them. Stay connected and build the relationship. If you're involved in a group that meets regularly, look for the people you've met before. Make a point to reconnect with them at the events or follow up after the fact. The relationship may take some time to develop and may happen only after a couple of meetings. If there's a connection, build it. If there's not an immediate connection, be friendly, stay interested, be open to a future time when it can shift. It can be challenging to start and hold a conversation. We tend to fear it, wondering, what if they ask me something and I don't know what to say? Or what if I have nothing else to say and the conversation stops dead? The AAA method is a simple and effective technique to manage any conversation. The method is ask, answer, add. Let's take a look at how it works. Here's a typical conversation. "Have you been to an event with this association?" "No, this is my first one." And if you end your statement there, the other person doesn't really have a place to go. We've all had this kind of conversation. In fact, it's this kind of conversation that makes us reluctant to have more conversations because they don't work. They feel awkward, and it's hard to know what to do next. Good news, there's a way to shift the awkward and ineffective conversation to a productive and fluid conversation. You can intentionally add something to the conversation. The AAA conversation method goes like this. First, there's an ask. The person asks a question. Then there's an answer. You answer the question. Then you add something to your answer, an additional detail that will encourage the conversation to continue. It opens the door for the person across from you to expand or share. This approach will help you maintain a natural conversation and for both you and the other person to build on it. Here's an example of a better conversation. Have you been to an event with this association? No, this is my first time. I was referred by a friend who's a regular and is always raving about the great lineup of speakers. I'm really impressed so far with the speaker. What do you think about them? And now this makes the conversation move back and forth between two people with ease in a way that feels natural. So how do you get started at a conversation? What's the first question? Here are some sample questions. Tell me the oddest day you've had on the job. What's one thing you would do if you knew you could not fail? What's the most difficult part of your job? What got you started in this industry or area of practice? These aren't your standard questions like, what do you do? A question which really doesn't allow the conversation to go to new places. It may be important to know what someone does, but often the response is a job title and a brief description, not necessarily what the individual personally experiences in their job. These sample questions and questions like them engage the other person and allow them to describe more, opening the doors to more than standard responses. This is a way to engage them using small talk that will hopefully move to more meaningful conversation. So consider questions you can use that will do just that. Dig underneath, beyond job titles and job descriptions. There are lots of opportunities to practice small talk, breaking the ice, starting a conversation, and moving it along. Take every opportunity to develop your conversational skills to prepare for networking. This image highlights the various opportunities you have exposure to on a regular basis. And while you're practicing or networking, remember, lower your expectations. Don't expect too much from yourself on any given chat. If you go to an event, hope for nothing more than a book recommendation or a nice conversation. Then you can relax, enjoy, and be yourself. You may be pleasantly surprised with what might happen. What and how matter. What you say and how you say are not equally important. What you say matters, but how you say matters more. The message changes with how you say something. The tone, inflections, and emphasis create whole new meanings. How you say it matters just as much or more than what you say. Do you know the expression, actions speak louder than words? What does this suggest about networking? Research in communication shows that about 97% of our communication is not spoken. If that's true, and networking is about talking, how does this work? So many of us struggle with the idea of networking and being good at small talk, and while it's important to develop the skill of small talk, it's equally important to learn how to manage what your body is saying, because it is also talking or communicating too. It's equally important to keep context, history, and relationship in mind because they will change the degree to which verbal and nonverbal communication is used, how it's used, and what it means. The communication between you and a classmate will look and sound very different than between you and an executive director. Learning what signals you're giving is important in social settings like networking. They are invitations or solicitations, or they may be rude and off-putting. If you're thinking, I'm not going to say anything or talk to anyone unless someone approaches me, it will be seen and felt by the people around you. You may not know what to say. However, even without words, you're in fact saying a lot with everything else. Your body and gestures and expression say volumes. If you attend a networking event with the plan to just get through it and not fully engage, that message will come through loud and clear. Your body will say it by the way you're positioned, maybe slightly turned away from people, not making eye contact, not smiling with your mouth or your eyes to say hello. You'll look down at your notes, your food, your shoes. You might have your arms crossed or walk briskly as though you have somewhere to go and don't want anyone stopping you. With all of that, you're likely to end up alone and stay alone. Networking is not about being alone. So face the crowd, make eye contact, smile, walk over and say hello. Use your body language to say, I'm interested in meeting you. Here are some common networking mistakes which by now may not be surprising for you. Let's review them. First, looking like you're not listening. Keep eye contact to show that you're paying attention. Next, not following up after you meet someone at an event. This is a must. You need to demonstrate the importance of the relationship to you by making the effort. Finally, asking the contact for a job. This is the number one mistake people seem to make. It might be fine, though, to ask for an information interview, or maybe even if they'll look at your resume to offer feedback. With the online resources and today's session, you learned skills for starting professional relationships on a positive note, and you understood ways to find people who you might want to develop professional relationships with. Networking is a skill, and like any other, it takes practice to get good at doing it. And if you do practice, you not only know how to do it well, you will end up loving it. So get out there and network. Thank you for your time. For more help, please visit the Academic Advising and Career Center and make an appointment with one of our career staff who can help you further on your journey.